Welcome, fellow Phoenixes, to the Spiritual Phoenix Podcast, where we make a daily offering to the divine by putting our past on the pyre, searching the smoke for spirituality, turning the ashes into art, adapting isolation into connection, and manifesting mental wellness. I'm your host, Ross Cessna, and let's take a moment to reflect on what we're grateful for. Today, I'm grateful for all the people that translated all sorts of ancient documents and manuscripts and philosophies so that I'm able to read them and other people are as well. A lot of the things that have benefited my life have come from ancient philosophies and different religious doctrines. I'm non-religious, I'm spiritual. And my philosophy on religion would be one of omnism, which is they all have many truths. And with that being said, I'd like to start something called Wordplay Wednesdays, where I'll briefly talk about alternative ways to look at a few words. The first word of today will be mistake, and often when I have mistakes, I'm missing an alternative take that I could take on that situation. Granted, some mistakes or mistakes are great tools for learning. Other mistakes, if I don't perceive them right, just become a problem. But problems really are just lessons that we aren't willing to learn yet or don't want to learn at that time, or can't learn at that time because we don't have enough knowledge to know the lesson that we're supposed to have learned. And the other one would be revolution, which could be looked at as re-evolution or evolving again. And that's one thing to consider with revolution. One thing I'll say about revolution too is the revolution won't be televised, it will be internalized and outwardly expressed through creativity that leads to unity. And that was the intro I had for a song that I was working on. I scrapped the song. I still like that phrase a lot, and I intend to use it for another song at some point. So yesterday I talked about the philosophy of neutrality. I would like to address some other issues in what I've coined the philosophy of personal neutralism. Personal neutralism can best be described by love or unconditional acceptance. The following is the beginning concept of a living philosophy, and as such, much will change as I gain more insight, or it may change as I gain more insight. And here's a quote by Horatio Nelson: "Never break the neutrality of a port or place, but never consider as neutral any place from whence an attack is allowed to be made." So, by personal neutralism, this does not mean we allow ourselves to participate in actions that are harmful to us, only advantageous to ourselves, or anything along those lines. Rather, it means we work towards consistently maintaining the balance of our actions, emotions, attitudes, with the mindset of progress towards favorable outcomes. If we think poorly of ourselves, we would then need to love ourselves to a point of balance. If we think highly of ourselves, we needn't reduce ourselves to the ultimate low, rather find some humility to center ourselves. The general premise being we are neither entirely good nor entirely bad. We are human and as such capable of both. If we feel guilty about something, we need to make amends to those we perceived we harmed and then work towards forgiving ourselves. Remorse and regret are baggage that we can't afford the luxury of carrying with us, as they will only aid in sinking us too far below neutrality. If we are overly prideful of something we have accomplished, we must work towards humility. That way we have our feet firmly on the ground. We should aim towards having our feet on the line of neutrality at all times when we have favorable or unfavorable outcomes. We also must work towards seeing the favorable and the unfavorable, as well as the unfavorable and the favorable. Some of the favorable actions we perceive we do have had unfavorable outcomes. Some of the unfavorable outcomes we create or are witness to have favorable outcomes. The main point is to think about both sides of our thoughts, actions, and reactions before making them or continually feeding them to limit ourselves from falling into the abyss of negativity or floating into the heavens of positivity. Doing either will take us away from neutrality. If we fall into the abyss, we may propel ourselves into the heaven afterwards. If we propel ourselves into the heavens, we may come crashing down into the abyss. In the abyss, we must aim to rise like bubbles, only barely breaking the surface of neutrality. In the heavens, we must aim to fall with the impact of a feather. If we are to call a truce to all actions internally, we also must call a truce to all actions externally. We are no longer allowed the luxury of labeling others good or evil, as calling one good can potentially make us bad, and calling one bad can therefore label us as good. However, we can see people who we love unconditionally, although we may not like the way they act, react, or carry themselves in general. We must unconditionally accept people and neither throw them into the gutter or place them on a pedestal. It is not our position to have an opinion on them. We can surround ourselves with those who will help to propel us towards favorable actions, attitudes, results, etc. While we cannot avoid those who may have unfavorable outcomes in our lives, we do not seek them out. Every favorable action for ourselves must be shared with others. Every unfavorable action we encounter with others must stop with us, as overreacting will only perpetuate the chain of events with few exceptions. In dealing with outside occurrences, the philosophy of personal neutralism does not seek battles any more than it will shy away from them. And here's a quote from an unknown author: "It is better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war." We choose to become momentarily non-neutral towards a side. We only choose to become momentarily non-neutral towards a side that threatens the greater good of unity, life, and the planet. If we are met with circumstances that may cause unfavorable outcomes that could lead to a loss of personal neutrality, we must take action to defend, but never instigate. We must choose our battles wisely. Our initial position is to voice our opinions respectfully from a calm and centered place. We must respect the ability of others to disrespect us. Words are only harmful to us if we allow them to be. When we are verbally attacked, we seek to neutralize the situation, not win. Not saying anything may cause greater harm to our neutrality than saying something. When we encounter hate, we neutralize it with love. Love is not in opposition to hate, because hate is at war with itself. Violence is our last resort. We do not use violence to defeat violence, only to neutralize it and protect the peaceful. We do not seek to dominate the aggressor, rather to make them retreat. In attempting to dominate, we inadvertently give the other side more power. By allowing them to retreat, they steal their own power. Those who follow hate and oppression will hate and oppress themselves to the point of defeating themselves. We don't choose a side in battle, rather we stand for those who stand for the greater good. We justify our moments of violence directed at neutrality or the greater good by our lives of nonviolence. When looking for our aggressor, we are to neutralize the side that is against the greater good of humanity, the planet, and the nonviolent individual. We never enter conflict without accepting the consequences beforehand. We accept that when we fight an aggressor verbally or physically, we have entered into a war with ourselves as well. We are not in a position of winning nor killing. That is not our right. Upon killing another intentionally, we lose our neutrality and inadvertently kill who we were. Unless we can begin the arduous journey of forgiving ourselves and not justifying the blood on our hands as the right thing, neutrality may be out of our grasp. Personal neutralism is about love and acceptance. As such, we love those we wish to neutralize before and after a verbal or physical battle. And with that, I could go on, but it's time to put this episode on the pyre. And like I said at the beginning, this is a living philosophy that will adapt over time. I'm really a non-violent person, but I also can't say that there isn't instances where maybe we don't need to be violent, but we need to stand up for things. Like I said, violence is the absolute last resort. If somebody's going to kick the crap out of me, I need to at least be able to exercise self-defense. Or if someone's going to attack somebody that I care about, I need to be able to help defend them. I don't want to hurt anybody, but I also can't just piece my way out of it, really. Peace is a beautiful thing, but peace comes when everyone's neutral, in my opinion. And I'd like to say we're there. I believe that that's where things are working towards, but we're not there yet. And please check the links below to all my social media accounts. If you're listening to this, you can watch a video of me talking on YouTube. And if you're watching me talk on YouTube, you can listen to me on iTunes or SoundCloud. Please leave a review on iTunes if you like the podcast, as it helps me reach new listeners. And you can contact me via message on Facebook if you have any topics you wish to bring to light, or if you'd like to potentially be a guest. Our main focus is on overcoming adversity and living a life that propels you towards helping others. And sharing your message of your difficulties will help other people, certainly, because other people have gone and are going through what you are going through. Some of them may not have the courage to talk about those experiences, and you could help bring them to a sense of connection rather than isolation. Please take the time to respond to the PodTrack listener survey, as it helps me understand the audience. Also, if you would like to get paid to write, there's a link below you can click. All you have to do is to be able to write 5 sentences in English. With that, I love, respect, and appreciate anyone who hears or sees this. Love and light. Namaste.